All right, welcome back. One thing I'm noticing right now is that the vocabulary is very difficult for some of the students. So let's do a quick refresher about dominant recessive, what that means when it comes to traits. Okay, so there's tons of traits you could study. Hair color, eye color, fur color, wing length, I don't care. You kind of have to read the word problem to understand what they're talking about. But a dominant trait always beats a recessive trait when it comes to the genetic war, okay? If dominant fights recessive, dominant always wins. There are some exceptions, but right now for what you are learning, dominant always wins. So how do we write a dominant trait? You write it with any capital letter you want, okay? It does not matter. You can write it with, a capital A. You can write it with a capital K. I don't care. But that shows you that is dominant because it's capital. Recessive is the opposite. It is always written with a lowercase letter, okay? So you have to know how to write dominant. You have to know how to write recessive. Next thing is you need to understand what homozygous and heterozygous mean when it comes to doing Punnett squares and doing genetics and patterns of inheritance. Homo meaning the same. You just need to memorize the word same. Hetero meaning different. All right? Right now, you need to dedicate these 4 things to memory. Dominant, capital letters. Recessive are written in lowercase letters. Homozygous means the same. Heterozygous means a different. All right, the next thing you need to learn is how to write a dominant trait and a recessive trait. Dominant, we always know a capital letter, okay? Now, we have to remember, when we write these alleles, these letters, there's always a pair of 2, okay? Reason why there's 2 is because obviously you get 1 from your mom and 1 from your dad. So, to write a dominant, you have to have a capital letter because if we refer back, dominant is written in capital letters. So we'll write a capital A. Now that's 1 letter. Let's say we got that from mom. Well, we have to get it from dad. We have to get a capital from dad too. So this is still showing a dominant trait because capital A is dominant, which means it wins the fight. But also remember, you can get a capital A from maybe mom or dad, and you can also get a lowercase a. Now, you're probably confused about that lowercase a because you're like, oh, that's recessive. But this is where the fight comes down to. When you have a dominant trait fighting a recessive trait together, remember, the dominant wins. So that would be an example of how to write dominant traits. To write recessive, they both have to be lowercase. If they are not both lowercase, you will not have the recessive trait. But now, keep in mind, you could use different letters, too. We could have wrote B's as well. It doesn't matter. But you have to have 2 lowercase letters. Obviously, 1 from mom, 1 from dad, or 1 from dad, 1 from mom. That's how you get both those letters. All right. Lastly, you're going to move into word problems when they talk about homozygous recessive, okay? And then, of course, heterozygous or homozygous dominant, heterozygous dominant, okay? So how do you write these as examples? Well, homozygous recessive, we know that homo means the same. And how do we write a recessive? Well, recessive is always written in lowercase, homo meaning the same, which means we have to have 2 of the same lowercase letters. Homo, same, recessive, lowercase. All right, homo, same, and dominant. All right, now here's where we can go. Because remember, a dominant trait can be written with capital A, and capital lowercase a. So when we get down here, it's homo, which is the same. Obviously, a capital A and a capital A are the same thing. That means homo. They are the same. And it's showing dominance because it's capital lettered. Heterozygous dominant. Well, once again, dominant, but we got to go here. Heterozygous means different. I'm just going to abbreviate it DIFF. And dominant. So we know we need 1 capital letter to show dominance. Now, remember, it's saying that it is different. Back here, Homo meant the same, so we had to use two of the capital letters. Here is where we will use a lowercase a. Still showing dominance because it has a capital, and it's still showing that it's heterozygous because it is different. Make sure you guys get these vocabulary words down pat, okay? It will help you out. Thank you.